Hi everybody, welcome back. I'm Dorothy, a professional astrologer. You can find me on the web at nhastrologer.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Dorothy Morgan Astrologer. So I hope to see you there. That's where you can contact me if you have any questions. Today I want to give you the forecast for the sign of Scorpio and those with Scorpio rising, and that would be for April, May, and June. So let me get started. Today I want to talk about, first thing is April 4th. We have a full moon lunar eclipse. It's at 14 degrees of Libra. There we go. Almost said Scorpio. It's at 14 degrees of Libra. It will be in your 12th house. So when we have a full moon in the 12th house to begin with, it tends to illuminate those things that we tend to hide from ourselves and keep secret. Having a full moon in that sector once a year is typical, but this one's an eclipse. So I want you to think about what was going on back in mid-October, October 8th. We had another eclipse. It was in this location. It was at the same degree, 13 actually degrees of Libra. So that means it was also in your 12th house. So what was going on back in October? That was 6 months from April. What was going on then? So think about what's going on, and you're probably watching this early, so you can easily even think about what's going on now, whatever time period it is for you, as I put this stuff up a little early. So think about what happened in October, what was beginning or what was ending in your life. Usually it's something we're not interested in facing, but depending on how enlightened you are, you might be okay with people bringing things up around you, saying, hey, you do this, you need to see how you can work on that. Or through meditation or contemplation, you've seen something about yourself that you want to work through, and you want to recognize it and move through it. These are great opportunities to do that. But some people are not interested in looking at the skeletons that they have in their own closet or the issues that they have to handle themselves. Psychological stuff is typically what will go on with Scorpio in that 12th house. So if you have a psychological issue that's come up or something that you're currently working on, keep up the good work. If it comes up, work on it, sit with it, see what it is, feel what you're feeling, and then allow yourself to move through it in a way, be sort of clear or just almost not invisible, because I don't want us to not be seen, but you know, like the energy can just move through us. Try and be transparent. That's what I'm looking for. Try and be transparent. This eclipse can really help to enlighten you and bring you to a new level of awareness and existence if it's something that you're willing to work on. So whatever that is, you know, you can get some help with that. You know, I can always help with that too. You know how to contact me. But think about it. So this last 6 months have been something that has been a lot of work, all right, for all of us. But for you especially, since it's in that 12th house. All right, let's move on. On April 8th, we have Jupiter finally moving direct, so it's stationary at that 12 degrees of Leo, and this is the same thing that it was back in September. So I'm going to ask you to look back again. This is the only 2 times I'm going to do the look back thing in this forecast, but look back to September. What were you growing? What was growing? What was moving forward for you? This is happening in your career sector, that 10th house. So whatever shifts and changes you've made, whatever decisions you made, back in the early fall, actually that's the end of the summer, in the mid-September, there might be some shifts and changes coming again, so you're able to reevaluate your current career choice, your current job, and either get more of a bonus, take on more responsibility, or leave that position and move on to something that suits you better. It's a shifting period for you, but it is a forward movement, and it's usually in a positive direction, no matter what it might look like. All right, so keep that in mind, and this is on April 8th, and it will just, the energy of this will build for the next few months. On April 16th, Pluto is stationary and it moves retrograde. That's in the 3rd house for you at 15 degrees of Capricorn. So, you know, communications and things going on between you and your siblings are all they're already in the process of going through some sort of very slow, deep change and transition. Allow it to happen. It's okay, Mercury moving, Pluto moving through that area. Just when it's stationary, we really don't feel like we're getting much movement. And Pluto is such a slow-moving planet from the perspective here on Earth that we have it doesn't look like it moves very fast, and it won't, only a few degrees a year. So we have plenty of time to work through this. So for you guys with Scorpio and Scorpio rising, this opportunity to really redefine how you communicate with others, especially those really close to you. April 18th, we have a new moon at 28 degrees of Aries. That's in your 6th house, and that Aries in the 6th house is all about really somebody who takes charge in their everyday life and starts lots of projects, is really great at initiating others, maybe not so good at follow through, but at least in that sector of your chart, in that sector of your life, you're really good at initiating action and helping others to promote action in their own lives. The new moon in Aries tells us is that it's important for you to define what you need to do and what you want to do, and set new goals as far as your everyday routine is about, and what you, well, if you need a new routine, if you're getting a bit scattered, then this can help you to really put things back into alignment and into a more orderly fashion. Let's see, where am I going to next? We're going to move into May. We're going to move to the next lunar thing, and the next lunar event is the full moon at 13 degrees of Scorpio. And again, that means that's your first house. So in that first house, again, it's like what I just mentioned with the Aries new moon. And then when you have a full moon in the first house, that first house also is about initiating action and helping yourself and others to make change. So that full moon in Scorpio means you might be letting go of an old project that's been slowing you down and keeping you kind of limited for a while. Take the energy of this full moon and move forward with it by releasing something that truly does not serve you anymore. And you should know what that is, because it usually doesn't feel good. Whatever it is we're hanging on to, if we know we should be letting go, then we should let go. But you know, most of us won't. We'll just hang on until our nails bleed. No one likes change. But if anybody can deal with change and transition, it's Scorpio, it's you. So, you know, go with it. Teach the rest of us how to do it. Sorry, I can't stand still today. On May 7th, we have Venus moving into the sign of Cancer. That will be in your 9th house. And that's the higher education portion of your chart. So when Venus, what I value, what I love, moves into Cancer, how I care and nurture for myself and those around me, moves into that 9th house. It's all about educating others how to do that, or learning how to do that. Some people need parenting classes. Some people really want to learn how to be more compassionate and more caring and nurturing. You might need to take a class on that, or just be interested in doing something that is healthy and caring and nurturing for yourself as well. It can include nutrition. All right, so if you're interested in those types of things, then you might just take a new class over the next month or two, or at least in this period, it will ignite your interest in that, and that is early May. On May 11th, we have Mars moving into Gemini. That is your 8th house. Mars in the 8th house can make things very active on the physical sense, the physical sexual sense. It could really highlight that and get that moving for you. But in the Gemini energy, it's all about communicating and talking. So and then it's all about those outside resources as well. So we have some very interesting dynamics going on here with Mars in the 8th house. Mars is the co-ruler of the 8th house to begin with, the natural ruler. And, you know, so that just means that it's very comfortable there for you. You know, so being that you're a Scorpio or have Scorpio rising, you understand Mars to begin with, because it's the co-ruler of that sign. Co-ruler of the 8th house, too. You're feeling comfortable there. Mars is activating, you know, this sexual drive possibly for you, or it could be activating your need to be very proactive in getting some financing for something, because again, it's outside resources as well. Taxes is in that department, so if you haven't filed your taxes yet, you might want to do that because you're late, especially if you live in the U.S. Taxes were due a month ago, so check into any of those categories. Any or all of those things could happen. None of those things could happen. And it could just be simply that you're going through some sort of deeper transition for yourself right now. Very private, very personal. On May 17th, if you live on the West Coast, May 18th. If you live on the East Coast, we have a new moon at 26 degrees of Taurus. That is in your 7th house of partnerships and relationships. So it's typically the love relationship, but it also is intimate partnerships, especially if you're in business with somebody. So that Taurus there is new moon in that sector for you, will help you to define what it is that's important for you in the dynamic of your relationships and your partnerships. It's very simple, but you can set new goals in that category, or whatever you want, but that would be the category I would set them in. What I value within my relationships, because that's where it is in your chart. We have also on May 18th, Mercury doing a retrograde again. Another retrograde is when it starts, May 18th all the way through June 11th. It is in the sign of Gemini. And again, that's your 8th house. The 8th house is a big focus for you this month, for May and June, Scorpio. And again, that's your ruling house. So it's a very big month of transition for you. Actually, 2 months of transitions for you. With Mercury retrograde in Gemini, again, you're going to be redefining what it is that you value, what are your outside resources that you can use, and how you're able to use them to really shift and change whatever it is that's important for you, whatever transition you're going through right now. We also have the Sun entering the sign of Gemini on the 21st of May, again in your 8th house. So all of those things in regards to the 8th house, what's shifting and changing, looking at, your sexual life, your sexual desires, how that's working out for you these days, and also looking at those outside resources, those financial outside resources that are available to you. Usually lots of times it could be spousal money, that helps support us. It could be bank loans. You might be you might be refinancing a home. Things like this are what we're going to look at, especially for you, for mostly May and June. Excuse me. On June 2nd, the full moon is in the sign of Sagittarius in your 2nd house. Again, what gets highlighted now is what I value. How I use my skills and talents to earn a living, what I value. All of that is highlighted. It means the sun is, of course, in the 8th house. I just said that. The moon, as the full moon, is down in the other sector, straight across the chart in that 2nd house. So what you value is coming up again and again and again over the springtime for you. All right, so keep that in mind. On June 5th, Venus enters the sign of Leo. That is in your career sector. So now we're looking at our money, the 2nd and the 8th houses, and now we get energy that's moved into the 10th house, which is that career sector. Venus in Leo means that you're able to take charge and be the one in charge when it comes to your career. Make the choices that you want to make. It's going to be in that career sector for the next 3.5 to 4 weeks, all right? Now, I also mentioned on June 11th that Mercury goes direct in the sign of Gemini on that point. So it's retrograde for 3 weeks in the 8th house. That's a reevaluation time. All right, May 18th to June 11th, reevaluating what your personal finances are and those outside resources. Now, we also have on June 14th, we have Saturn moving back into the sign of Scorpio. Now, when it does do that, it's going to be there until 18th of September in the sign of Scorpio. That means it's backed into your 1st house. So you are having an identity crisis of some sort going on. It happened for 2.5 years, 2012, half of 2012 through all of 2014. But you would have worked through all of that in those 2.5 years. In this 3-month period, June through September, coming up, I know I'm not going that far, but June through September, it starts in June, when it moves back into that sector of your chart, that 1st house for you, you might have some final little touches to put on who you are and how you redefined yourself. It's simple, tiny little last piece. We all get to play with that Saturn and Scorpio from June to September, so we all get something. So work on yourself, and that will work out well for you. And it's going to help kind of balance all these other things that I've been talking about so far. Now we also have that new moon on June 16th. That will be at 25 degrees of Gemini, again, in that 8th house. Your 8th house is so dominant these couple of months. Focus on what you need to transition into and or out of. Then we finally get a shift out of that 8th house when the sun the summer solstice, moves into Cancer on June 21st, into your 9th house. It's the summer solstice as well, like I just mentioned. June 24th, Mars moves into the sign of Cancer, also in your 9th house. So your 9th house, it will shift you out of focusing on what's transitioning, what are my outside resources, and it shifts into the 9th house, which is about expanding your awareness. It's about a higher education. It's about experiencing life through your emotions. And if you're a Scorpio or have Scorpio rising, you're already somewhat emotional, not knowing what your moon sign is. But when these two planets, the Sun and Mars, move into the sign of Cancer, which is the moon's natural sign, we become more emotional and more connected. So you need to have an emotional connection to what it is that you want to learn. You're going to be encouraged to learn new things at this point. So the summer will be very busy for you, learning and experiencing new things, if you choose to use it that way. All right? That is a ton of information. Come back often, share often. Find me on Facebook, Dorothy Morgan Astrologer. Share this on your Facebook pages. I love it. I would appreciate it. Because I want to stay here, and I need you to do it. Thank you very much. I appreciate you all with gratitude and love. Blessed be, and namaste.